Have you ever felt completely stuck, like totally paralyzed in your life, your work, or your relationships, and you just try to think harder to find a way out? Well, we often try to outthink our way out of feeling stuck. But what if the problem isn't your mindset at all? Turns out, getting unstuck isn't just some mental exercise. It actually requires optimizing your physical body, managing your psychological mind, and taking highly strategic action. That's the real path forward. And building this framework today, in this explainer, might literally change how you look at your own energy.
So let me ask you this. Are you mistakenly trying to journal your way out of a starving brain? It's an incredible metaphor from our sources. Listen, it simply doesn't matter how good you are at driving a race car if no one's done an oil change, right? Or if they haven't checked the tires or put proper fuel in the tank. If your biological fuel is empty, you literally cannot problem solve your way out of a slump. You can't riddle yourself out of it with a pen and paper. To map this all out, we're going to look at 6 key steps today. Fixing your cognitive fuel, bioelectric brain medicine, the truth about habit building, balancing acceptance versus achievement, escaping the objective reality trap, and finally, hunting antelope instead of mice.
All right, let's jump right into step 1, fixing your cognitive fuel.
You see, when our brains forget how to use glucose, which, by the way, some researchers actually call type 3 diabetes, we have to pull other biological levers to avoid essentially starving our cognition. Tim Ferriss identifies 3 primary levers we can pull here. First, improving glucose and insulin sensitivity. You can often do this through intermittent fasting, like a 16-hour fast, which completely stabilizes those awful energy dips. Second up, ketones. Our sources note that giving a specific exogenous ketone supplement to Alzheimer's patients can sometimes drastically improve their cognition in just 20 to 30 minutes. I mean, that's wild. And third, there's a completely fascinating alternative fuel, lactate.
And one brilliant way to get that lactate is a protocol called the Norwegian 4x4. Here's how it works. You get on a stationary bike, and for 4 minutes, you push to 85 to 90% of your max heart rate. You are effectively running from wolves here. Then you rest for 3 to 4 minutes and repeat the whole thing 4 times. That massive influx of lactic acid, it isn't just a waste byproduct, it acts as a messenger and a fuel that can literally grow brain structures like the hippocampus. And get this, the cognitive benefits can extend out for up to 5 years. 5 years.
Okay, moving on to step 2, bioelectric brain medicine.
Scientists are increasingly looking to replace traditional pills with microchips and electrical stimulation. Why? To establish homeostasis and entirely avoid the really messy off-target side effects of modern pharmaceuticals. Now, what's truly mind-blowing here is the timeline compression. Dr. Nolan Williams at Stanford took transcranial magnetic stimulation, or TMS, which uses magnetic fields to treat severe depression and anxiety. Traditionally, this is a grueling 5-month ordeal, but he compressed it into a 5-day intensive protocol called SAINT. But wait, it goes even further. Ferrance himself underwent an experimental protocol combining this with an antibiotic called D-cycloserine to aid neuroplasticity. They compressed the entire treatment into a single day, dramatically dropping his severe generalized anxiety down to near 0 for months. Bioelectricity also targets the vagus nerve, which runs right down your neck to stop chronic neural inflammation, which, honestly, might actually be the root cause of a lot of psychiatric disorders. Now, you can stimulate this nerve via a tiny microchip or through specific placements on the ear. But beautifully, our sources show that ancient techniques, like simply doing 10 to 20 minutes of rhythmic box breathing twice a day, activate this exact same nerve and trigger the anti-inflammatory reflex. It's basically ancient wisdom completely proven by modern biology. Which brings us to part 3, the truth about habit building. So to successfully adopt these biological optimizations, like daily meditation or intense exercise, we really have to look at the psychological friction of actually starting a new routine. And there is a powerful piece of advice for this. Do less than you think you can do. Instead of relying on this hyper-individualistic Protestant work ethic where you just push to your absolute limit right out of the gate, Ferriss advises intentionally undercommitting. Seriously, if you think you can meditate for 20 minutes, only do 10. You have to intentionally undercommit to ensure longevity and enthusiasm so you don't just bleed the stone dry on day 1. And the crucial expectation to set here revolves around the number 17. It takes roughly 17 days, or about 2.5 weeks, for the biological switch to actually flip, and for the benefits of a new habit, like sitting for meditation, to truly kick in and settle your nervous system. If you give up after 1 week just because you set your expectations wrong and went way too hard, the entire effort is wasted. You've got to hit that 17-day mark.
All right, let's look at part 4, acceptance versus achievement.
Once our biology is fueled and our habits are locked in, we've got to learn to balance the Western psychological drive for achievement with the Eastern practice of acceptance. You cannot operate purely in one mode or the other. You really have to intentionally oscillate between two entirely different states: the pure, unrestrained drive of the greyhound chasing a rabbit and the absolute passivity of the cow standing in the rain. Which one you choose? Well, that depends entirely on whether or not you can control the outcome. If you can change it, absolutely be the greyhound. But if you cannot change it, like what other people do, or the fact that doom scrolling is ruining your mental health, you must practice acceptance. You have to be the cow.
But whatever you do, avoid the middle ground. Chess prodigy Josh Waitzkin warns against what he calls the simmering six. This is that toxic, stressful space where you're neither resting nor sprinting. You're just half on, half off, constantly reacting to everyone else's manufactured emergencies, like answering random work texts or emails on a Sunday afternoon. Honestly, it will completely murder you psycho-emotionally.
Next up is Part 5, the objective reality trap.
This crucial need for acceptance heavily extends into our relationships, too. Human irrationality is table stakes, right? And it guarantees conflict if we approach it the wrong way. According to therapist Terry Real, arguing over objective reality is a guaranteed relational disaster. Just imagine your partner says you're yelling, and you hypothetically bring in a professional audiologist to measure the decibels in the room just to prove you objectively weren't yelling. I mean, come on, that is absolutely not going to save your relationship. Instead, you must accept their subjective emotional experience with genuine curiosity. In conflict, you literally have to let go of objective reality.
To navigate this, use nonviolent communication. Approach with curiosity, but crucially, and this ties right back to our very first point, only do this when your biological fuel is fully resourced. If you're running on 3 coffees and 0 sleep, delay the conversation. Just wait. And finally, always make a request for what you want. It's kind of like an acro yoga instructor. If someone is balancing on their feet, they don't scream, "Don't push your heel down." They just say, "More toe." So ask for what you want, not what you don't want.
And finally, Part 6, hunting antelope, not mice. So you've optimized your biological fuel, your habit friction, your psychological balance, and your relationships. How do you focus all of this newly optimized energy? Ask yourself this incredibly powerful question borrowed from political war rooms. Are you hunting antelope or field mice? Are you living on defense, just surviving by chasing hundreds of tiny, exhausting, insignificant field mice all day? Like, say, clearing out your email inbox? Or are you hunting the massive, meaningful antelope? A single antelope provides true, lasting sustenance for a lion. You have to stop eating field mice.
To find that true focus, try the radical strategy of subtraction over addition. You know, when we want to improve, we always try to add things. We add software, we add supplements, we add projects. But what if you could only fix your life by subtracting? Intermittent fasting works by subtracting food for 16 hours, subtracting social media from your phone entirely for 2 weeks. That can do the same amount of good as 10 years of therapy for some folks. You have to subtract the noise to find your focus.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to honestly ask yourself right now, what is your antelope? If you stopped endlessly eating field mice, and if you stopped trying to outthink a biological fuel shortage, what massive, meaningful pursuit would you finally have the energy to hunt down? Focus your biology, accept the things you can't control, and go find your antelope.